Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So good morning. Welcome to another Market Open stream. Crypto is still doing well, but unfortunately things are about to get worse in Europe. Nord Stream pipelines possibly sabotaged, and no one really knows what's going on in the UK. So let's talk about these things, and let's talk about people waking up to Bitcoin. So let's get started. Smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com and make sure you follow my other channels as well. Good morning, guys. Welcome. We are 1 minute away. 1 minute away from opening bell. Right now, Bitcoin is still holding strong, up about 5% above 20,000. That's what we want to see, and I do have some news about Bitcoin, obviously. But today, overall, U.S. market looks like it wants to turn green, and that is good. And that is the market bell right there. You know, sometimes the market bell works, and sometimes it doesn't. It's really weird that way. But all right, so the bell has just rung. We will see what markets do today. But as for some economic stuff, some economic news, let's talk about, well, first of all, this big thing about the Nord Stream pipeline, which we have talked about recently, right? Nord Stream 1 was supposedly cut. Nord Stream 2 was operational until things all of a sudden turned off. And now it seems like, well, there's these suspicious leaks and everyone thinks that it's due to sabotage. What is going on? How do you sabotage these gigantic pipelines that's like hundreds of feet in the ocean, right? Like how it takes a lot of and how do you do this? How do you do this without anyone paying attention, right? So this is the big thing. People don't know who did it. Did Russia do it? Did the U.S. do it? Who did it? No one really knows. But right now, both of the pipelines, 1 and 2, are not sending any gas to Germany right now, right? So things are looking pretty dire, and Germany is spinning up their nuclear plants as fast as they can. They are trying to prepare. Germany is a country that's highly dependent on this gas flow from Russia, and they are trying to figure out right now what to do, right? So the sabotage thing is no good. No one knows where it's coming from. And right now, also in Europe, there is a vote that's being conducted with the 2 territories that Russia annexed away from Ukraine, asking supposedly the citizens if they want to stay as separate nations or if they want to go back to Ukraine. And if they vote, somehow they want to stay separate nations or go back to Russia, one of the two, that Russia has a right to use nuclear weapons to defend them afterwards, right? So, and everyone thinks that this is a sham of a vote. You know, it's not really an election. It's not really a poll, a legitimate poll. So that's also not good right now. That's going on in Europe. So a lot of bad stuff happening. A lot of bad stuff happening in Europe right now. That's why it looks like things are about to get worse. And let's not forget what's going on with the UK. Everyone is wondering what the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, is going to do. A lot of the recent developments in terms of what she wants to do in terms of spurring up the UK economy, well, that means massive tax cuts. For most people, they think it's not going to tax the rich. It's going to tax the middle class and the lower class, and UK has to borrow a lot more money to be able to do these tax cuts, and their central bank, Bank of England, is very dovish with the rate hikes, despite the fact inflation is still at 9.9%. And you even have the former U.S. Treasury Secretary saying that the UK is utterly irresponsible. And if you look at some of the stuff he said, they're pretty damning stuff. He claims that the UK is take a look at this. To quote, I cannot remember a G10 country with so much debt sustainability risk in its own currency. The first step in regaining credibility is not saying incredible things. I was surprised when the new chancellor spoke over the weekend of the need for even more tax cuts. I cannot see how the Bank of England, knowing the government plans, decided to move so timidly. The suggestion that seems to have been made emanated from the Bank of England that there is something anti-inflationary about unbounded energy subsidies are bizarre. I mean, you get the point, right? He's very, very negative, very super negative about what's going on in the UK as well. So that's why I've been covering about currencies, and obviously the currencies are just getting decimated against the dollar right now. The British pound and the euro and currencies around the world because of these developments, right? So, not looking good right now. Not looking good in Europe. And then, and then there's talks about from the ECB. Christine Lagarde is saying that they will tackle quantitative tightening after normalizing rates. So the ECB is also very dovish on its rate hikes. Part of the reason why euro is collapsing right now. But just like the U.S. took on a ton, or the Fed took on a ton of holdings because basically the Fed wanted to prop up, the economy. Not only did they print a lot, but they bought a lot. They bought a ton of junk bonds and assets. So ECB did that as well. Trillions. You could see it jumped up to $5 trillion in terms of what the ECB hold, and they're not even thinking about selling that until normalized rates, which could be like years down the road, right? Most likely years down the road. So the ECB also, people are questioning whether or not they need to be a lot more hawkish going forward. And plus, with everything else I mentioned about Europe, with Germany and all these other countries, they got a tough job ahead of them. That's for sure. All right, but in the meantime, looking at the U.S., the DXY, the dollar strength is still very, very, very high at 114. It has not budged at all. Not budged. And this morning, we got headlines in the U.S. that home prices have cooled in July at the fastest rate in the history of the index. That headline should shock you, right? But the good thing is that home prices are still higher than they were last year. And why that is a good thing is even though we have massive cooling of the real estate market right now, we're not seeing a total collapse. Okay, if we're seeing headlines like this and prices of homes are lower than they were last year in 2020, then we have problems. Then we're having a bubble pop just like 2008. But we're not. We're just having cooling because the real estate market has been so hot. But even with data like this, the US dollar still climbs, DXY is still climbing. I don't know if there's going to be an end to it, even though many people think that the DXY will come down. But despite all these things that's going on today, generally speaking, when you have all this bad news and you have DXY flying up to the moon, what happens with Bitcoin? It goes down. But you know what? That's not what's happening today. Ever since last night, we saw a pretty good, you could see Bitcoin's been on a pretty, steady decline for pretty much half a month. But you could see yesterday things changed. And now Bitcoin is starting to gain strength a little bit. Kind of a reversal, right? And this is happening while DXY is still going up, while the dollar is still gaining strength, and while there's so much uncertainty in Europe. That's a very positive thing. That's because I believe more and more people are starting to pay attention and looking for something better like Bitcoin. And it's not just the people. I noticed this headline. Fidelity just bought $60 million worth of Bitcoin. They are coming out with their own index funds that tracks Bitcoin. The surprising thing about this is normally when you come out with some kind of index that tracks Bitcoin's price, you don't actually have to buy any Bitcoin. You can just track this price. That's it. But they're coming out with a fund that actually holds Bitcoin. So they bought $60 million worth of Bitcoin. Could be the reason why Bitcoin got jump-started last night. But I would say that's a pretty good thing. Fidelity is one of the largest asset managers in the world, keep in mind. Everyone talks about BlackRock owning $10 trillion worth of assets. Fidelity owns a couple trillion themselves. They're not a mom and pop shop. They are absolutely huge, one of the biggest in the world. And they are very, very pro Bitcoin and crypto. And that is fantastic. So we do have a $60 million buy. Also in Brazil, NuBank logs more than 1.8 million crypto users. And here's the thing. People don't realize that Berkshire Hathaway bought a huge chunk of NuBank. So technically speaking, even though Warren Buffett still does not like Bitcoin, well, he owns the most forward-thinking and crypto, pro-crypto bank in Brazil. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So NuBank is offering crypto trading to 1.8 million users in Brazil, one of the largest markets out there, or countries out there, let's say, with a huge amount of population, right? So that is also positive. And of course, I mentioned how more and more people are tuning into what's going on around the world. They want to get involved with Bitcoin, right? And the more services and banks and offerings and dApps that we have, the better it is and easier it is for people to get in. So good stuff. Good stuff. And of course, Bitcoin's percent supply last active for the last 3 years continues to skyrocket. Now 39% all-time high. That means 39% of all Bitcoin has not been touched for 3 years. That's a huge amount. Holders are holding. They're not going away. And of course, new people are coming in. That's why the number of addresses holding at least 0.1 Bitcoin continue to skyrocket. And we're at another all-time high of 3.8 million addresses. All fantastic stuff. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Even with Europe getting worse and worse and worse. And let's not even forget about the energy, the huge hike in energy price in Europe too. All right, what else is there? Well, Do Kwon. Now it's been reported that after South Korea issued a arrest warrant for Do Kwon, Interpol issued the red notice. It seems like someone decided to cash out $67 million worth of Bitcoin. So over 3,000 Bitcoins that belong to LFG, and we don't know who that is, but most likely is Do Kwon, decided to liquidate those 3,000 plus Bitcoins with KuCoin and OKX. So authorities have reached out to both exchanges asking them to don't cash out. We know that Do Kwon is very arrogant, saying, no, I'm not hiding, and you could find me in malls and on whatever. But, I've been saying, it sounds like a desperate man that's very cornered and has no friends, no family, no one to turn to. He may be getting ready to run somewhere, and that is why he decided to sell. But it seems like whatever he's trying to sell, it doesn't even make any sense. Even if he did try to sell, people could trace where the money's going to, right? Even if OKX and KuCoin allowed him to cash into cash, you have to withdraw, right, to a bank account. And as soon as he does that, authorities will know where he is, right? It doesn't even make sense. If you're on the run, just keep your Bitcoin, transfer it to wallet, and then just spend it wherever you're going. Don't try to cash it out. That makes no sense. Again, not a good move by Do Kwon. All right. What else is going on? Let's see. SEC is fining the former Tether auditor, someone that no one has heard of before. I remember when they announced them, like, we're like, who the hell are these guys? Friedman LLP, supposedly they did a thorough audit of Tether's cash reserves, and they said, yeah, it's okay. But it turns out they didn't do such a thorough job, and the SEC is fining them $1 million for malpractice. And most likely they're going to be shut down. So that's not good. Tether still has not, has not hired a legitimate accounting firm to look at their balance. We still want that to happen. Hasn't happened yet. And then a lot of you guys have paid attention to this. Voyager sells their assets to Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX for $1.4 billion. And a lot of you guys may have gotten an email about this saying that, yeah, this has happened, right? We have to wait for procedures to end before people can get some of their crypto back. How much you get back, no one knows. Most likely what's going to happen is they will force you to open up a FTX.US account if you're in the US and an FTX account overseas. And then somehow they will just give you your remaining assets back. But don't hold your breath, because Sam Bankman-Fried did not just waste $1.4 billion out of the goodness of his heart to just give back to the community. Unlikely. So I don't know, after the proceedings, like if he subtracts off all this cost and all this stuff, I don't know how much is left over. So he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart, that's for sure. And that's not the only target. He says he has plenty of cash left, and he's going to go after other companies, distressed crypto companies, one after another, until he becomes Larry Fink, like BlackRock. That's what it seems like. And I still wonder how he got so much money, because every other exchange is struggling right now besides Binance, and I don't know how FTX has so much money. So I really don't. And their trading volume does not justify how much money he has. So again, something suspicious going on there. All right, that is pretty much it. Looking at the entire crypto market cap, Bitcoin dominance came up quite a lot today, about 39.8. It was like 39.2 yesterday. Overall global market cap up big, 4%, 970 billion. Can we get back above 1 trillion? Let's hope by the end of this week. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let's see here. I'm my hero. I'm more of a trustless system kind of guy. I see what you did there. Let's see. Chris, I'm not even going to repeat what you said there. Finally, a positive day. Yes. We need some good news periodically, right? We need some good news, and getting a little, I don't know about news, but some gains, some recovery. And that's what we're seeing today. So a little bit of it. Let's see here. What happened to Peter Schiff's bank? It was taken away from him. Supposedly, he didn't have enough reserves. Whatever reserve requirement that Puerto Rico required, he didn't have it, and they just took it away from him. And they wouldn't allow him to sell either. Do Kwon is in Ukraine. Probably not. Why are so many people on Twitter still trying to argue for Do Kwon? They're not. No one knows. He removed comments on Twitter, so I doubt very little people is arguing for him, only against him. And, you know, he's just so damn arrogant still on Twitter. You know, his apologetic ways have just gone out the window, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm taking casual walks, I'm not hiding. You know, supposedly he told someone to go meet up with him. He like leaked out his address or location on Twitter or something like that. I don't know what's going on, Do Kwon. I think he's just having a mental collapse at this point. Do you think this is the end for European nation? What was the idea behind the EU? And was it a good idea? I don't know the exact reasons, but I heard the EU was really to get some of the other countries in Europe to get their bonds as strong as Germany's or something like that. It has to do with, again, bonds. And it was something that's supposed to, like, it was affecting like France and Italy and some of the other countries where their strength was just not as good as Germany's, and it was supposed to unite them, something like that. I don't know the exact history of the European Union, but the EU and the Euro has not been around for that long, only 20-something years. So can it fail and collapse? Sure, but I don't know if this is really going to push them over the edge. It may be a little too early to make that call. Well, Dow and NASDAQ is still doing good today, so that's good. SEC fines Oracle $23 million. Says the company bribed foreign officials for business. You know, see, if it wasn't Oracle and say it was like a crypto guy or a crypto company, if the SEC finds that a crypto company bribed foreign officials for business, SEC will probably shut them down. But because it's Oracle, it's like, okay, they're too big to shut down. So let's just fine them. Let's just slap on a wrist and $23 million. That's nothing. Oracle makes $23 million like in a minute. Why would you not fine them $230 million or something instead? You know, it's really unfair for the smaller guys. But if you like get to that level where you're too big to fail, then you don't really have to worry about anything. Let's see. BTC only moved because DXY retraced? No, actually, it didn't. DXY is still around 114. Just last week when I was covering this, it was at 110, 111. So no, DXY didn't retrace at all. Not even today. I mean, 0.35%. That's nothing. Yeah, this whole... Yeah, I'm hearing more and more people talk about it. You know, this whole notion of dollar gaining strength while other countries are really suffering. I don't even know, honestly, like if you're like a central bank of another country right now, I don't even know what you can do, honestly, to make your currency stronger. Like, I honestly don't know. If you are UK, if you're Bank of England, you are the ECB, you are the Bank of Japan, you're whatever bank of whatever country. Like, how do you stop the bleeding or the debasing of your currency versus the USD right now? It seems like there's no easy solution to that. Do you try to be all hawkish and try to sell U.S. Treasuries? I don't know if that's going to work. That's probably not going to work. So I don't know. It's a really tough thing. It's a really tough thing. I think Bank of Japan recently sold a ton of U.S. Treasuries to try to get cash back in yen, and supposedly that was going to help. I don't think it helped at all. Macro strategies. George, saw your video on the Maki. Do you like it better than the Y? In some ways I do. In other ways I don't. The Y still has better range. It's faster. It's bigger. But the Maki does drive better. The interior, some parts, I think it's a little cheap. But and I think the Maki looks a lot better. But again, see, there's trade-offs for both. And the price is so similar on both. And when it comes to charging stations, nothing comes close to Tesla supercharger network. So that's going to be a big, big pro for Tesla, basically forever. I don't think anyone's going to challenge them on that. Gas is going up. National gas average. There's a site that had it. Is it, yeah, AA gas prices? Is it going up again? Yeah, unfortunately, up a little bit. 375 now. Not really. A year ago, we were at 320. And a month ago, we were at 386. So we're still lower than a month ago. I mean, we're a little bit higher than a week ago, but overall, we're still pretty low. I mean, we're not that far off from a year ago. About 20% higher. But this is way better than any other country. I know in Europe it's like $9, $10, $11, $12 for a gallon of gas. $6.97 in downtown Los Angeles. That's insane. That's insane. I wish Texas could use Binance. Yeah, unfortunately, Texas, just like New York, very, very strict with their crypto laws. So you're kind of limited in terms of the U.S.-based exchanges, because Binance.us is a fantastic U.S. exchange. But yeah, you're going to have to settle for something else. Or you could use a foreign exchange. You know, you could use KuCoin. You could use MEXC, you know. KuCoin, unfortunately, has really started limiting U.S. Buying power, withdrawal power, and stuff like that. So I don't, you know, I still like them, but it's less useful than before. Did you hear, John is asking, did you hear about the Fed shortening BTC on the futures market? If it's true, no. Stuff like that is not true, John. Okay? None of that is true. The Fed is not shortening Bitcoin. Bitcoin is meaningless to the Fed right now. It's like you walking outside and then you see an ant on the floor. Is the ant threatening you? No. That's Bitcoin to the Fed right now. They have an unlimited printing money machine, okay? They could print trillions out of thin air. Bitcoin itself is not $1 trillion market cap asset. So, no, they're not shorting Bitcoin through the futures market. I drive a Challenger. $5 gets me that on the street. JL, I have an update on my house on my other channel, so you'll have to watch it. Have you seen a new Tesla Power E minivan? No. No, I have not, and that sounds made up. Let's see. You know things are changing for the better when crypto makes more sense than fiat. Well, it's kind of true. Fiat never really made sense. It's just that most people are oblivious to how it works, like me. I just thought money's money. That's it, right? But a lot of people that do understand money really hate it. If you come to understand how money or how fiat currency works, how central banks work, there's been a period where there wasn't a Fed, right? There wasn't a central bank, and there was a period when countries actually used gold and had a gold standard that you had to have a certain amount of ratio of gold to be able to print money. All these things have changed over the years, and there's no rules anymore. You can do whatever the hell you want. So that's why so many people that actually truly understand how the financial system work are really worried that it's going to collapse, because it's just like it's operating like one giant Ponzi scheme, and it's really worrisome. In UK, all my cash at BUSD, so gain on the GBP drop. That's actually a really good thing, like a really easy way. If you're in UK, for example, or in Europe, you don't want to see your currency lose value against the USD. A really easy way is to buy a stable coin, right? And then convert it back when you're ready. So, that's a really easy way. Rather than try to go to the bank and convert it to dollars or cash, you can simply buy a stable coin, because all stable coins are pegged against the USD. So that's actually a really smart way to do it. So just to keep that in mind as an option. I don't trust Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, and Solana. It feels like something's off. In a way, yeah. If you read the story about Solana would have died a long time ago if it wasn't for Sam Bankman-Fried. He's the sole person that kind of kept it afloat until 2021 really hit, and then it became huge. But Sam Bankman-Fried was the guy that kept it going. And, now he's trying to buy out like all these companies and exchanges and everyone. He really wants to make FTX like BlackRock of the space. So even look at Binance. For a period, everyone was talking bad things about CZ and Binance and stuff like that, right? Even with all that, Binance has just kept their heads down and just increase their offerings, right? Try to deal with regulators around the world, but overall, they're just Binance is Binance. They're not really making any like crazy moves. But right now, SBF and FTX is trying to make all the crazy moves, trying to buy up everything out there. A little suspicious, weird, and I still don't know how he has so much money to be able to do this. Yeah, and they also own 8% of Robinhood now. So what Robinhood is doing, SBF is behind Vlad's year, right? So he's kind of become like the BlackRock. BlackRock also invests in FTX. So Larry Fink is in Sam Bankman-Fried's year, and Sam Bankman-Fried is in Vlad's year. So, yeah, you see how that works. All right, guys, let's conclude. Overall today, Bitcoin and crypto is doing well. U.S. markets are doing well. But unfortunately, things look like they're going to get worse in Europe. Nord Stream pipelines possibly hit by sabotage. Not good for Germany. Not good for a lot of countries that's dependent on that gas. So that is not good. Still a lot of damning stuff about what's going on in the UK. Currencies are still debasing themselves, devaluing themselves against the dollar. The DXY is still high, right? A lot of bad stuff happening. But what's good is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is staying strong. More and more people are tuning to Bitcoin, and I think more good things will come. So stick with it. Have patience, and I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.